Today we are going to be talking about electrical stimulation, better known as E-Stim. To give you guys a better basic overview or understanding of this, it is a very upcoming and popular modality, meaning it's new, it's improving old modalities, and it's more popularly used. This modality restores biological functions. It is intended to induce a functional response in unresponsive or diseased tissue. How it is used is it is applied in a pulse signal with appropriate magnitudes and time durations delivered through conduction electrodes. Electrical stimulation first came about in the 18th century when experiments were getting tossed around through different animals, and they just use different electrical impacts and techniques. But this also injects coulombic charge into the biological tissue in a controlled manner to activate or inhibit excitable cells. So you're probably wondering how this intervention or modality is used. Well, let me just tell you. There's many different reasons or ways to be using electrical stimulation, but here's just a few. Suppression of tremors, and if you aren't familiar with types of tremors, there's Parkinson's tremors, there's just nerve twitchings that are considered tremors, and there's multiple different kinds of tremors, but those are the two main ones. Then you have it used for activating limb movement for either paralysis or just an involuntary movement kind of activation. It can also be used to regulate breathing. It can help with strokes, surprisingly. You wouldn't think that strokes would be the first reason to use electrical stimulation, especially since E-Stim is using electrical waves after a stroke. Just use those electrical waves to cause some issues within the body. So that was pretty interesting. It also controls bladder. It can improve muscle recovery. This is the biggest and most important one. This is the most used reasons for electrical stimulation. It can also help with artificial cardiac pacemakers, epilepsy, and restore hand function. There were a few types of evidence that I found to help better my argument for the effectiveness. So one of my articles was talking about senior rehab, and pretty much the summary of this article was that the seniors had improved muscle torque, improved functional performances, and it also increased the size of fast muscle fibers within the seniors through electrical stimulation. Another article that I used was talking about how E-Stim is used through stroke and post-stroke patients, and what they have found out is it stimulates neuromuscular activity of paretic limbs or paralysis after stroke because normal excitability often remains in lower motor neurons and innervated muscles. And then there were other articles talking about the effects of E-Stim of epilepsy patients, and what we found out were the decreased of duration during the SW episodes and decreased fraction of session time spent in the SW sections of the epilepsy seizures or spells were our effects using E-Stim on epilepsy patients. So, thank you. All my sources were used during this video, and all the information that I have presented with you was from my references. So, thank you. Hope you understand electrical stimulation a little bit better.